burning up inside! I don't want to be here anymore!
This is the story of one of the most disturbing human experiments ever done. A Stanford experiment that studied what happens when regular people are given too much power. And it got so out of control that on the very first day, people already wanted to give up.
I'm burning up inside! Let me out! I don't want to be here anymore!
What kind of experiment is this and how was it allowed with students? How did the people abuse their power? And in the end, was the experiment a success? It all started when the mastermind, Dr. Philip Zimbardo, posted this advertisement to students. He was looking for volunteers willing to be part of the 2-week prison life experiment in exchange for money.
Like a prison roleplay? That should be fun.
Yeah, and I could definitely use some cash.
Let's apply.
Out of 70 students who applied, exactly 24 got in. 24 students about to experience something horrifying. Because what Dr. Zimbardo wanted to know was the answer to the question:
If you put people in a bad place, do the people turn bad? Or does the place turn good?
He wanted to see if prison brutality was caused by the guards' abuse of power or the prison itself. And the answer he got was shocking. Let us begin the experiment. The participants were divided into two: prisoners and guards. The fate of these students would be determined through a game of coin toss.
I'm a prisoner.
Cool. Me too.
And this is where things took a turn real quick. The experiment was so realistic that the prisoners were arrested by police in public places and even in their homes.
We are here for your son. He's under arrest.
What? Mark, what did you do?
No, Mom. Listen.
The cops took them to the local police station to get their fingerprints and mugshots. Initially, though, the arrests were not enough to frighten all students. They knew it was just role-playing.
This is so cool. We're like prisoners for real.
But what happened next was extreme roleplay. All blindfolded, they were taken to a basement in Stanford University that looked exactly like prison. Without a single warning, the prisoners were stripped naked. They were given white dresses, no underwear, nylon stocking hats to look bold, and then a chain was placed on each of their legs.
Excuse me, can you loosen it up a bit? It hurts.
It's meant to hurt, 4502.
Oh, what? I'm Mark.
You are 4502.
It soon started to sink in for some students that the agreement they signed to be in this experiment was a huge mistake. Meanwhile, the guards loved it. They were also given real uniforms, nightsticks, whistles, and even glasses to avoid eye contact with the prisoners. Dr. Zimbardo, on the other hand, assigned a role for himself: the prison superintendent. Above all, they were given one rule: no physical violence. But they were also instructed to do whatever was necessary to maintain peace. Regular people were given power. On the very first day, some people's true colors already started to show. One of the guards used his whistle to wake all the prisoners at 2:30 in the morning just to do a count. The prisoners who didn't take it seriously were punished. The guards forced them to do push-ups and jumping jacks. But one guard decided to step on a prisoner's back as he served his punishment.
That's right. Push, you asshole!
He broke the rules, but no one said anything, which later on would result in horrible consequences for the prisoners. Later that day, The prisoners didn't want to do the experiment anymore. It was obviously too much. Some removed their caps, others stripped off their numbers, and some others put their beds against the cell doors. But with the newly gained power, the guards instantly made them pay for it. They used a fire extinguisher to force them away from the doors. That was when this game of pretend became real. The guards broke into the cell, stripped the prisoners naked, and took out their beds so they would sleep on the floor. They made them clean toilets with their bare hands, and even stopped them from using toilets by forcing them to use small buckets inside their cells. These regular people knew they only had this power for 14 days, and so they wanted to make the best out of it. In case you lost count, this was just the second day, and 2 days were enough to really get to most of their heads. It was clear the prisoners were suffering, but no one was prepared for what happened over the next 4 days.
What is this? I thought we were just role-playing.
Yeah, I've had enough. Get me out of here. This is worse than prison.
Get you out of here? You're a bloody prisoner.
Before they knew it, the students really started to believe this. They now actually felt like real prisoners. One threatened to hurt himself, one broke down, cried hysterically, screamed his lungs out, and started losing his mind.
Get me out! Get me out! Get me out!
But the guards didn't care.
I'm burning up inside! Let me out! I don't want to be here anymore.
In fact, out of all the guards, there was one without a soul, whom the prisoners would never forget. John Wayne. It was mostly him who hit them with his nightstick, put bags on their heads, forced them to play leapfrog so their clothes would lift up and expose their private parts. But even with all of this suffering, to everyone's surprise, the other guards who witnessed it did nothing. This was the definition of what happens when regular people with bad souls gain real power. This Stanford experiment was supposed to run for 2 weeks, but on day 6 it went so far that it had to end. Only because Dr. Zimbardo's girlfriend came to visit and saw everything with her own eyes.
It's terrible what you're doing to these boys.
And this was what Zimbardo had to say.
I was thinking like a prison superintendent rather than a research psychologist.
And with all of this in mind, I leave you with the final question, Night Fam. What would you do if you were given endless power over people with no consequences?